A reflection for the sixth Sunday of Pascha, the Sunday before our National Memorial Day. Our resume or our eulogy? What's the difference between a resume and a eulogy? Well, on this Memorial Weekend Sunday, I want us to reflect on what the difference is between a resume and a eulogy, and then ask ourselves to reflect on whether we are building up our resume attributes or our eulogy virtues in our lives. Typically, a resume is a document where we present our background, our education, our skills, our accomplishments in order to impress others, specifically when trying to find a job. We want to show who we are, what we've done, what our potential is, and how we can be successful if someone hires us. A eulogy, on the other hand, is typically a sermon or a speech given at a funeral or a memorial that highlights the virtues of one's life. The focus isn't on worldly success, but more on the virtues that we carry with us into eternity. A resume and a eulogy are quite different. And the question I want all of us to wrestle with today on this Sunday before our National Memorial Day is, which of these two are we building up right now in our lives? Which are we spending time, putting forth effort, and conscientiously developing in our lives? Our resume or our eulogy? Tomorrow, our country pauses to remember all the military who have died while serving in the armed forces. Of course, many of us use Memorial Day as an opportunity to remember and pray also for our own loved ones, those who have left this life and gone on to meet the Lord. It's also an opportunity for us to reflect on our own mortality. One day, in the not too distant future, others will be remembering us and reminiscing about our lives. We will be gone, but what will we have left behind? What will be our legacy? And what will be the eulogy others are saying for us? Let's go back to this resume versus eulogy idea. You see, the success which a resume may predict and the eternal virtues that God deems successful are actually quite different. A great resume may lead someone to become a resounding success in the world's eyes, with wealth, fame, prosperity, popularity, and all the comforts of life. Yet what the world calls a resounding success, God may bluntly call foolishness. Our Lord is unimpressed with worldly success. He's much more impressed with how we achieved that success, with what we did with whatever success we had, and whether we used our talents, our gifts, our treasure, and our life itself, which God ultimately gave us, in a way which glorified his name. What the Lord wants to see is whether we have acknowledged him as the source of all our blessings, and then whether we have used these blessings in humble and wise ways to bless others. Jesus Christ is not interested in how much wealth we have amassed, but how humble and how generous we have been in sharing with others the wealth we have. He's not interested in how popular we are in society, but whether we have acted as good and faithful stewards with all that we have received in life. He's not interested in our worldly awards and honors, but is interested in whether we will receive his heavenly prize. A resume will try to emphasize all our educational accomplishments to show how smart we are. A eulogy will note how wise we were in life, regardless of our education, acting as humble instruments in God's hands. A resume will try to note how hard and diligent we will work. A eulogy will highlight what we did with our time to love others, to help one another, to care especially for the least of our brothers and sisters, for the stranger, the foreigner, the immigrant, the illegal immigrant, the marginalized, and the rejected in society. Remember, what the world values may be of little importance to God. As we remember all our loved ones who have gone on to the Lord on this Memorial Day weekend, what do we remember about them? Do we remember the things they had or the people they were? Do we remember their accomplishments or do we cherish the love which they showed us and others? Think about this. If someone had a big, beautiful mansion as a house, that means little to God. If someone had fancy cars, numerous fancy cars, that means nothing to God. If someone died with a wealthy financial portfolio and was able to retire at a young age and enjoy their old age playing golf or spending their time in some other recreational hobby, that would not impress God. If someone was famous and had millions of followers on social media, God would be unimpressed. He'll want to know, however, what this person did with the platform they had. Did they use it to feed their ego or to glorify God? Did they use it to fulfill their self-centered desires or to bless others? Did they use it to create divisions and feed the darkness and hatred of the world? Or did they use it to help people love one another and to love their Creator? Fame means nothing in God's eyes. What we do with whatever platform we're given reflects who we are and what type of steward we've been with the gifts we've been given. On this Memorial Day Sunday, I want all of us to reflect on what we want others to say in our eulogy. One day we will die, and our death may come sooner than we like. So let us ask ourselves, how am I living my life now? And what eulogy am I creating for others to say about me? David Brooks, a New York Times opinion columnist, notes that there are two selves within each of us. The self who craves worldly ambitious success, who builds a resume, and the self who seeks connection, community, and love, the values that make for a great eulogy. One wants to conquer the world. The other wants to conquer themselves in order to develop their character and offer themselves back to the world. Brooks uses Rabbi Joseph Solzhenitsyn's book, The Lonely Man of Faith, to state this. We live in perpetual self-confrontation between the external success and the internal value. And the tricky thing about these two sides of our nature is that they work by different logics. The resume logic is an economic logic. Input leads to output, risk leads to reward. The eulogy side of our nature is a moral logic and often an inverse logic. You have to give in order to receive. You have to surrender to something outside yourself in order to gain strength within yourself. You have to conquer the desire to get what you want. In order to fulfill yourself, you have to forget yourself. In order to find yourself, you have to lose yourself. Our resume or our eulogy? What are we developing today in our lives? On this Memorial Day Sunday, let us focus on our eulogy, and may we live our lives in a way that will offer a lot of good material for a memorable eulogy. Christ is risen.